Hello wonderful people, Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel, and it is time for the fourth video of Yearly Favourites Week 2021 as I bring you my top 15 bass albums of the year. Rules for this video: one album per artist, no more, going by what the artist calls their own collection. So, you know, some projects you might think that's a bit of an EP, but if they call it an album, then let's call it an album. And if they don't do that, then I know it can be a bit difficult trying to tell for sure what kind of project it is, but luckily we didn't have that problem here. So yeah, all good on that front. And we're going here from 15 to number 1, and kicking off as always with 15 honourable mentions, which are also very good. They are very good indeed. If you haven't checked them out, please do go and check them out. But they just about missed out on the main list. Nothing objective or definitive about my list here. These are simply my picks in bass music of 2021. And on that note, I want to hear your favourite bass albums of the year in the comments down below, and also let me know what you made of my list. Is it good? Is it bad? Do let me know below. But yeah, been a big year for bass albums, as we all know, so that discussion down below will be the best bit. Let me know what you think. But yeah, here we go. Honourable mentions, top bass LPs of 2021. Main list coming after that, straight after. I shall see you guys in a bit. Oakley dokley, hope you enjoyed that. And now moving on to the main list, and at number 15 we have Maktub by Tracker, which is a very dark, earthy, gravelly album, kind of like a big black massive sound traversing along, kind of picking up everything in its wake. It gives the image of an unmovable thick fog just following you everywhere you go and not budging in any way, just that dark energy looming and hanging above. And yeah, some great moments here and tracks as well, but more of a general experience, I would say, overall. Yeah, it is very good. At number 14, we have Harsh Reality by John Casey, who comes through with a selection of sharp, hybrid trap-leaning bangers, and a lot of it is very cleanly done, and the production is mostly great. Some top ideas on show as well, I would have to say, kind of dropped throughout the album. And I love the rap and hip-hop influence as well in parts, and yeah, to me, just a good outlay of a particular style. At number 13, we have Crisby Criz with Warp Crawler, which is all the weight of the Tracker album with a lot more freshness and kind of metallic shine to it, I would say. And a lot of well-constructed music here across the whole LP, and it's just sounds being angled against each other to give the instrumentals that perfect force, and thwack kind of ricocheting and rebounding off one another. Very cool, I love that. And it never gets stodgy either with the production, with a lot going on as well. You know, everything can be heard here quite clearly, I think. And to me, yeah, Warp Crawler, just a very well executed and oiled machine. At number 12, A Fragmented Love Story by Little Snake. And yeah, here just Little Snake doing his thing, mad, hyper, glitchy beats, acid collage music throughout the whole thing. And if ever the term mind-melting experience was to be used properly for an album in describing it, I think this would be most appropriate and kind of correct, if you will. For me, this album is just all the craziness of a dream, where you're out of control, you're flying about, you don't know where you are, you're kind of moving from one place to another very quickly. And little makes sense, but you do like it. You like that kind of disorientation and a little of knowing just what's going on. But yeah, just left taken aback each time I hear this LP. At number 11, Bandle's Hot Pursuit, an album that I had my fears for going into it, I can't lie, but I think they did a pretty good job here overall, gonna have to say that as well. Like, they keep their sound fresh and exciting for the most part, and the ideas are engaging enough. Like, don't get me wrong, there is a fair bit of stuff here, well, some of it anyway, that we have heard before from them, nothing new really, but even that stuff is very typically them, and the album overall is a very fun listen, in my opinion, and a good outlay of their style, and we also get, for me, some of their best tunes yet on this LP. So yeah, Bandle's Hot Pursuit, It's a good LP. At number 10, Hudson Lee, Reflex Angle, which is up there for me with the most incredible soundscape albums that I heard all year in bass music. One to get lost in, and it's got that streamlike consciousness about it, and that flow and direction, and for me just does a great job of bringing you further and further into its world over the 52-minute runtime. And not loads of memorable material here, but the production, the arrangement, the sounds used, absolutely exceptional on those fronts. And yeah, it is just wave after wave of immersive, rich design, just kind of overwhelming you, coating you in its colour and its beauty, basically. But yeah, very good album. At number 9, we have World Famous Tour by Wave Dash, which has just about enough bass material to place here. As we all know, most of it is quite uplifting and bright and kind of happy-go-lucky, but there is a definite bass foundation here, as well as a few outright bassy kind of tracks, again, as we all know. But yeah, just so much good here, loads of memorable stuff, very catchy as well, you know, melodies, vocals, drops, general ideas here and there. Would happily put it higher, I think, if it had more outright bass to it. Kind of like Shadian, I think this album, well, that album, sorry, would be in here if it was just a bit more overtly bass, because yeah, I mean, don't get it twisted. This Wave Dash album is one of the best in EDM overall in this year, in 2021. Just gotta say it. Coming in at number 8, we have Simulation by Virtual Riot, which wasn't quite the knockout experience I think many had hoped for, but still loads of good across the LP, across the 16 tunes, and I think for me the most enjoyable thing about it is just hearing an album's worth of his style and sound, just hearing his design, his production over the course of a whole LP. And it is ambitious as well, the amount it goes for, with the different genres and the length of it, and also some fantastic tracks here across the LP. It's just, for me, not stacked with amazing Virtual Riot level material, again, given how long it is and just the duration of it from start to finish. But, you know, it does still place here quite rightly, with good reason, because there is a lot to enjoy about it from beginning to end, and yeah, couldn't not be here in this position, for sure. At number 7, we have Monty with Hit the Lights, which was, I think, the first 1985 music solo album, and it could hardly have been a better one for the imprint, in my opinion. I do prefer the slower tempo stuff that we get here to the D&B, like the title tune, the collabs with Alex Perez and Visage, just to give a couple of examples there. But generally, I think overall a great listen. Everything to love about his style, and 1985 overall, I think, and the production front to back is amazing. I think if it had come out a little earlier, maybe a couple of weeks or a month, I could have gotten used to it more, the ideas and the album overall, just maybe placed it a bit higher with a bit more attachment to it, that kind of thing. But I will be listening to it a lot in the coming months and years, that is very much for sure. At number 6, we have Bush Baby with Into Worlds, which is my favourite mostly house album of the year. Just so much good energy here. He's got a real knack for songwriting, like vocal and beat combinations. They're just superb across the LP here. Most tunes have got a real character to them and a personality about them, and he branches off into bits of breaks and bass line and techno, that kind of thing, that kind of ballpark. It's just a bit of a whirlwind of vibes and emotions, whilst keeping it always quite upbeat and with a lot of pace to it as well. And I think there just aren't that many who can work in all those styles coherently into an LP, but Bush Baby definitely 100% does it with Into Worlds. Coming in at number 5, Come to Grips by Edit, 1/3 of Glitch Mob, first LP in over a decade, and it delivers in many a way, in my opinion. This one grew on me quite a lot over the course of the year, just a very deep emotion laced throughout the whole thing. And that's mostly in thanks, I think, to the vocal samples, which are almost all very effective. Just, you know, the music here, it's very industrial feeling, but a real sorrow and melancholy permeating the whole thing that makes it quite relatable, I would say. Also gives it a kind of charm and storytelling appeal, which in turn gives it more of an album feel than most other albums in this list, I would say. So if you haven't checked it out and you want a very album-feeling bass album, go and check this one out for sure. But yeah, right length as well, I think, at 10 tracks, the right amount of concepts on show, and very well made. The production, very on point for the most part. Yeah, Edit, Come to Grips, what an LP. Arriving at my number 4 spot, we have Temonite with Raise the Black Flag, and wow, what an album. Probably the best concept album that I heard all year in bass music. And, you know, as we all know by this point, any Temanite album is going to be full of fantastic dubstep and bass music overall, but pirate themed as well, bro. I mean, Sam, damn, mate, like, come on, you're leveling up here. Loads of great material here on this LP, drops, vocals, musicality, development, the overall evolution of the album as well. Got a good variety with the genre. Bits of production, I think, lacking here and there, which do stop me putting it that bit higher. And again, I do wish that it could have been released just a little bit earlier so I could have gotten used to it more. But then again, if it had come out earlier, it wouldn't have been this good. And it also just says a lot that it plays so high, having been out for not that long yet, you know, a couple of weeks kind of thing. But yeah, very fun and excels in a lot of ways. Temanite, raise the black flag. Okay, moving on, top 3, and at number 3, I think if any bass album I heard this year is a transcendental and otherworldly journey, then it would be Ego Death by Aleph, which does take me to a different universe altogether whenever I hear it, and is stunning. Completely stunning, beautiful, all superlatives of that ilk. And I can't say that for many albums that I heard this year in bass music, or ever really in this scene, in this sphere of music. It's a bit of a psychedelic experience actually, in particular in the first half, with a kind of fervent bass energy lying beneath and pushing and propelling it forward, giving it a bit of bite and a bit of gristle beyond the colourful synth usage that we get across the whole LP. It's also one of the only LPs this year that I heard where I have no problem just putting it on, no skipping, and just sitting back and letting it just kind of wash over me and consume me, if you will. But yeah, I think bass music just needs more albums like this one, basically, which is, I suppose, one of the highest compliments I can pay it. But yeah, Ego Death, Aleph, my number 3. Coming in at number 2, now sometimes an album just sticks out for how amazing it sounds in the strictest sense, you know, the quality of the sound itself, how it's made and crafted, and this LP, it's just quite entrancing in that way, you know. It holds you, it's got a grip on you for pretty much the whole thing, and it doesn't let go, doesn't let loose for its entirety. And that album is Phantasmagoria by Mr. Bill. And you know, that isn't to say that there aren't great ideas to go with that mad production. There are many a really cleverly worked drop here on this LP. Note placement, musicality just combining in the perfect way, spot on many tunes here, and a lot of very good vocal sample usage again, like we've talked about before with others, but yeah, that happens across the whole LP as well. I also just love the patience of this album with which it's put together and assembled. Very careful and considered, nothing feels rushed or kind of hurried with the assembling of this album, and also some of the best collaborations of the year, hands down. We're talking Elidup, Killsmith, The Widdler, and others beyond that. So yeah, a lot of this album, it just works in every single aspect, has to be said, and yeah, what an LP, fully deserving of a top 2 spot here. Phantasmagoria, Mr. Bill. But taking the gold medal, coming in at number 1, this is just the most exciting bass album I heard all year. I've enjoyed it more and more over time as I've heard it again and again. It's got so much going for it, and it's just a fantastic piece of work, really. Like, that is all you can boil it down to. And you all know who it is by this point, by kind of method of deduction. It is the man, of course, himself, Must Die, with Crisis Vision. More than any other album I heard in bass music this year, this one made me think about the album process and just what you have to do and achieve in order to make a good album. Coming up with 10 plus different ideas, executing them in the right way. For you, you know, you have a concept and you want to polish it, round it off in a complete sounding way to you. Not an easy thing to do at all with one tune, let alone, you know, 14, which I think is what we get here. And then beyond that, making them all cohere, have a bit of lineage to them, make them progress well over the stretch of a whole LP. And this album does that extremely well, which is something I've realised more as I've listened to it again and again. There are just loads of great concepts here across this whole LP, backed up with good production as well. Yep, they're rounded off, they sound good. The production is very on point, I think, for the most part, on Crisis Vision. And I'm not saying it's perfect, far from that, but there is just so much statement-making material here, and it's got personality, it's got variety, memorability, it's ambitious as well to go with that. And I think for me as well, which is quite important, every single tune here has got something about it, you know, something memorable, something that's going to stick in the mind and make it infectious, and which is just a bit of an earworm, which is quite the achievement. Again, for a 14-track album, for me, it just has to be my number one in bass music of 2021, Crisis Vision by Must Die. But there we have it, my top 15 bass albums of the year of 2021, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for tuning in. One more video to go up in this yearly favourites week, top 50 singles, coming up in a couple of days, so make sure you are subscribed and hit the bell along the way so you are notified when that big old vid goes live. Let me know down below in the comments what you made of my list. Is it good? Is it bad? I want to hear it all. And also add your favourite bass albums of the year 2021 in the comments down below. Past videos from this week, other yearly favourites videos are linked right here. But yeah, beyond that, keep it naughty. If it's naughty, then you know, and I shall see all of you legends in the next one. Peace.